Have you ever heard the saying, beware of Greeks bearing gifts? Well, today, we're diving into the legendary story that gave birth to that very phrase. We're talking about one of the most brilliant and deceptive military tricks in all of history, the Trojan Horse. Our story begins in the midst of the Trojan War, a brutal conflict that had been raging for 10 long years. The mighty city of Troy, protected by its impenetrable walls, had resisted every attack from the invading Greek army. The Greeks were exhausted, morale was at an all-time low, and they were on the verge of giving up and sailing home in defeat. Their greatest warriors had fought and fallen, and still, the gates of Troy remained shut. But one Greek, the clever and cunning Odysseus, wasn't ready to admit defeat. He knew that if brute force couldn't win the war, then maybe, just maybe, a clever mind could. He proposed a plan so audacious, so daring, that it seemed almost insane. He suggested they build a giant, hollow wooden horse, hide their best soldiers inside, and leave it as a supposed offering to the gods. The Greeks got to work. Under the direction of a master craftsman named Epeius, they constructed a magnificent horse from the wood of fir trees. It was a colossal structure, awe-inspiring to behold. Once it was complete, Odysseus and a select group of the bravest Greek warriors, including the fierce Menelaus, climbed into the dark, cramped belly of the beast. The rest of the Greek army packed up their camp, boarded their ships, and sailed away, making it look for all the world like they had finally surrendered from the walls of Troy. The Trojans watched the Greek ships disappear over the horizon. After a decade of siege, they were finally free. Cheers erupted throughout the city. As they cautiously ventured out of their gates, they discovered the enormous wooden horse standing on the beach. They were puzzled. What was this strange gift? A Greek soldier named Sinon, who had been deliberately left behind, was soon captured by the Trojans. Playing his part perfectly, he told a masterful tale of woe. He claimed he had deserted the cruel Greeks and that the horse was a sacred offering to the goddess Athena. He explained that the Greeks had made it so large specifically to prevent the Trojans from bringing it inside their city. If it were brought inside, he warned, the favor of Athena would shift to Troy, making the city inconquerable. The Trojans were divided. Some, like the priest Locoen, were suspicious. He famously declared, "I fear the Greeks, even when they bring gifts," and hurled his spear at the horse, which produced a dull, hollow thud. But just then, a terrible omen occurred. 2 giant sea serpents emerged from the ocean and attacked Locoen and his sons. The Trojans, horrified, interpreted this as a sign of divine anger for disrespecting the sacred offering. Their doubts erased, the jubilant Trojans decided to bring the horse into their city. It was so massive they had to break down a part of their own legendary walls to get it through. That night, the entire city of Troy celebrated their apparent victory. They feasted, they sang, they drank, and they reveled in their newfound peace, completely unaware of the doom lurking within the wooden statue at the heart of their city. As the Trojans slept soundly in a drunken stupor, the moment of truth arrived. Under the cover of darkness, Sinon released the latch. The belly of the horse opened, and Odysseus and his soldiers silently rappelled down to the ground. They were inside Troy. The impenetrable city had been breached not by force, but by deception. The Greek soldiers quickly moved to the main gates, overpowering the sleeping guards and throwing them open. This was the signal. The Greek fleet, which had only pretended to sail away and was hiding just out of sight, returned to shore. The full might of the Greek army swarmed into the unsuspecting city. What followed was a night of utter chaos and destruction. The Trojans, caught completely by surprise, were no match for the organized and ruthless Greek soldiers. The city that had stood defiant for 10 years was sacked and burned to the ground in a single night. The Trojan War was finally over, won not by a great battle, but by a wooden horse and a clever lie. The story of the Trojan horse has echoed through the centuries, becoming a powerful symbol of cunning, strategy, and the danger of underestimating your opponent. It's a timeless lesson that the greatest vulnerabilities often lie not in our walls, but in our willingness to accept a gift horse without looking it in the mouth. The term Trojan horse itself has entered our language to describe any trick or strategy that causes a target to invite a foe into a securely protected place. From computer viruses to deceptive political tactics, the legacy of Odysseus's brilliant plan is all around us. It is a gripping tale of ingenuity and deceit that marks the dramatic end of one of history's most famous wars. It reminds us that sometimes, the most powerful weapon isn't a sword, but an idea. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Troy. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more fascinating tales from history and mythology, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.